Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Top Rope Talk, your only place on Old Westbury television for all your favorite wrestling talk, news, and discussion. This week is actually a special episode, so not only have myself, Josh Richter, I'm joined as always, Mr. Moses Nunez, but more importantly today we have a special guest, an alumni of Student College at Old Westbury. Ehi, what's going on, sir?
Nothing much. I'm glad to be here. It's a Top Rope Talk. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So we've told our audience a little bit about how him and I got into wrestling. What's your wrestling story? How did you get into it?
I've been watching wrestling my whole life, like since I was a baby. You know what I mean? Like my parents used to watch it around me, so that's how I got hooked to it. Going way back even to the 80s. For the most part, I watched it. I grew up watching wrestlers like Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, Randy Savage, Roddy Piper. The list goes on.
All the legends.
Yeah, legends. But
I gotta ask, who's your favorite?
My favorite of all time? That's a tough one. I'm gonna have to say Stone Cold, Steve Austin. He's my favorite.
Is that why you have the shaved head, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Got it.
Well, I mean, I think you like John Cena, right? With the, because you just never give up. Yeah. I can still see you, though. I can still see you. Yeah, just remember that.
Oh, I see you too. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
So we're going to kick things as well. So usually we review like some of the top 3 things that's going on right now in wrestling. This week and forevermore, we're calling this segment the 3 count.
1, 2, 3!
We're going to kick things off down the panel over here with Mr. Ehi. Ehi, what's your first count?
The first one was what happened this past Monday on Raw with New Day at the end of the show, when they pretty much beat down everybody. John Cena, who else? The Deli Boys. They pretty much showed their dominance that day. That they're nobody to mess with. They're like big players in this game, pretty much.
What do you think? Do you see big things for them in the future?
Yeah, pretty much. I do. I see them being multiple-time tag champs.
I think it's really interesting because you have the New Day, which is essentially 3 kind of new talents, sort of, or at least new-ish to the roster in terms of a spotlight position, in terms of a new generation main eventing and closing Raw. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it was.
Mr. Moses, what's your 2 count?
I have to give it to, surprisingly, which I don't even watch TNA, but Matt Hardy actually won the TNA championship, I believe, this past weekend.
Yep, this past Sunday.
And, for someone as good as Matt Hardy, granted, he had a long career with WWE/WWF, but, he was one of the staples during the Attitude Era's tag team division. And even though it's not prestigious as a WWE title, like his younger brother Jeff got, it's still pretty...
Well, Jeff won the Impact Wrestling title as well at one
Really?
point.
Oh, that's true, because he feuded with Sting, right?
Yeah, which was a whole... Jeff Hardy's Demons aside, I think that was in 2011, I think that was. That is kind of cool that both brothers held that same World Heavyweight Championship. Whatever your or anybody other's opinions on Impact Wrestling is in terms of the state of the company, TV deal, whatever, all that aside, it's still that company's top title.
Exactly, but just to see, which is what I like about TNA, is that they don't underutilize their roster. A lot of the guys from WWE were very underutilized. For example, Hardy Boys. Look how long it took Jeff just to get to the main event spot. His brother, at most, won a European championship by himself? Oh, the ECW championship. Yeah. But really, like how great the ECW championship was with WWE.
Hey, what do you think about Matt winning the TNA title?
I think it's great. I'm glad, I'm happy for him. I think he deserves it. I think he'd be a great champion. But as far as like them going up the ranks, pretty much, like, you're right. There's a lot of underutilized talent in WWE. It's like they kept them in the tag team division forever. Like, it's like they didn't want to split them. They tried to split them up at first. It didn't really work. It worked for Jeff. It didn't really work for Matt that well.
Yeah.
So it's like when they went to TNA, it seemed like them going solo worked a lot better.
Yeah.
For me, I guess ending 3 count with the 3 count. Tonight actually is NXT Respect, the Takeover special, being main evented by Sasha Banks versus Bayley in a 30-minute Iron Women match, which I've said before on the show. I was at Takeover Brooklyn, where they absolutely tore the house down. I'm expecting no different tonight. I'm expecting them to outdo themselves and actually top that match, just because of how phenomenal both of them are. Also, I think tonight is going to be Sasha Banks' final NXT match, so I'm definitely think she's going out with a bang. What about you guys?
I think she's definitely going to win that match. I see her win that.
You think Sasha's taking the NXT title back?
Oh yeah, because well, actually, probably not, because they might bring her up to the main roster for good, and I know she can't be an NXT champion and be on the main roster,
right?
So it's possible, but.
What about you, Moses?
Well, they already flirted with her being NXT champion, women's champion.
Sasha, I mean.
Yeah, and usually people that are on the main roster and lose the title, they usually do not win it back. As we saw with Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor, he lost to Finn Balor, and then he had his rematch again, and he didn't win, and he stood on the main roster.
Right.
So what I think is that's what they're going to do. They're going to give her a historic match to send her off to the main roster to keep that momentum going for Sasha, because like you said earlier, she brought the house down.
And Bayley.
And Bayley. I mean, they work well together. You can see that there is some type of chemistry between the two. And I don't think she's going to win. Obviously, because they need to keep NXT's championship in NXT.
Of course.
So, and it's just going to make Bayley look even stronger as a women's champion, because she's faced Sasha Banks, and Sasha Banks, from what I saw, was pretty dominant. And most of the women that win the championship usually go on and do great things in the women's division.
Exactly.
I mean, look at NXT, look at the Divas division in Raw, in WWE right now. The NXT talent is kind of overproducing, the women in WWE, like Alicia Fox, the Bella Twins. You look at them, you see the difference in talent.
We've stated it before, and I think it can't be understated that women's wrestling now is so much more of a high point than it has been in forever, and that is thanks very much to the quote-unquote Divas Revolution of the NXT women.
Yeah.
Sasha Banks, Charlotte, Bayley, Becky Lynch. To Nikki Bella's credit as well, she's also picked up her game. So I definitely am intrigued with what's going on now and where they're heading, and the match you're going to have tonight. With all that being said, let's turn it over to Rigo for this week's WTF moment.
Hello, TRT fans. You know who I am, but this time, you know why I'm here. Well, I'm here to bring you this week's WTF moment, which goes out to one of my personal favorites, Rusev. This week, Rusev and Summer Rae, they got on a whole new level of weird. It was really weird. Summer Rae, she comes out and tells Rusev how much she loves him, pretty much, and she shows this video that she put together, also elegantly, and filled with hearts and pink and just romantic music of just all the wonderful moments she's had with Rusev and all the romantic time she's had. But the only thing is that each romantic and beautiful moment she's had with Rusev always involves them hurting people physically. It involves her putting people in the accolade and him cheering her on and him doing super kicks and slamming people and just him screaming at the top of his lungs and his flag with his face falling, and it was just very disturbing. And then all of this is going on while she's trying to show her love for this man, and it was just so disturbing, and it gave me nightmares. It really gave me nightmares, and well, you can take a look for yourself. Rusev, no. God, no.
Wake up. Your WTF is in 30. Let's go!
God. Oh my God, what a terrible dream. Who can ever love Rusev like that? Well, there you have it, folks. It really did mess me up. It was awful. How can somebody love Rusev that much? But the whole thing ended with her asking Rusev to marry her. She wanted to take his hand in marriage, his big Bulgarian hand in marriage. And he turned it down because he refused to have any type of bling on his finger unless he has a bling around his waist, which is admirable. But nonetheless, it was just so disturbing, just that video. And, well, that concludes this week's TRT WTF moment. And, excuse me, I think I might have to go sign up for some therapy. See you guys later.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy from Raw.
I swear, just these storylines that they come up with is ridiculous, honestly. I mean, like I just saw, really?
It is cool just in the sense that it's story and it's storytelling.
Yeah.
As ridiculous as it may be, storytelling is part of the reason why myself, you, Ehi, why all of us watch.
Fair enough.
With all that being said, another reason why we all watch wrestling is for the best of wrestling. This week, best of wrestling, we're talking gimmick matches. Ehi, you're the alumni here. What's your favorite?
My favorite gimmick match? I don't know if I'll call this a gimmick match, but Hell in a Cell.
That's a gimmick match for sure.
That's a gimmick match, man.
That's absolutely a
gimmick
gimmick match.
Doesn't sound like a gimmick.
That's true.
Yeah, that's my favorite gimmick match, Hell in a Cell. It's just
Why?
only because I just like Undertaker, just how he uses the cell to brutalize his opponents.
The Hell in a Cell has helped define his legacy.
That's true.
I mean, he was in the first one back in 1997, which actually,
Him and Michaels.
Of course, the debut of Kane.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that Hell in a Cell match in of itself was
psychology
historic.
of that
Of
match
course,
is really
Mankind versus Undertaker.
My God, he killed him.
You got it.
Yeah.
Hell in a Cell, absolutely one of the best. I think in more recent years have become more oversaturated.
I agree.
With Hell in a Cell coming up this month, I'm looking forward to Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt inside the cell.
That'd be interesting.
But I definitely think it's become different over recent years, especially PG and everything.
Yeah, because it's not its own.
It's certainly one of the most regarded.
Yeah, you can't do much.
They don't go on the top of the cell no more. They don't throw people off the cell.
Well, which they don't want them to die.
Obviously, but
Wow,
it's not as intense as it used to be.
Moses, what's your favorite?
My favorite gimmick match, it's actually a toss-up. I feel like this week we should have just said favorite matches that that the Undertaker was in, because it's a toss-up between a Buried Alive match and Inferno match.
So we have a match where someone gets buried or someone gets burnt. Good choices.
I'm a sadist. I can't. I just just wait. I got Kane in the.
Oh God, I'm in
I
trouble.
got him. Yeah, I'm gonna
Hey,
watch
you're
out
in
for
trouble
him.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Apparently you got Kane.
Yeah, I got Kane.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. No, but honestly, it was just cool that it was pretty innovative. To put these two wrestlers, and I mean, God, it was scorching hot. There were interviews where people would say that they could feel it, and they were in the.
At times, they would need to move the audience back.
Exactly, and it was great. I mean, it only happened once or a few times.
A few times.
Yeah, a few times. Yeah.
They had the first one, Unforgiven,
Kane
98, I believe.
Yeah, it was Kane versus Taker.
Of course. With the legendary late great Paul Bear involved in that, kind of involved in the match.
And then Kane, Triple H.
Yep. I had a few years ago Kane versus MVP at Armageddon.
I didn't see that, but with the Buried Alive match, what I like is that even though if you watch every Buried Alive match, Taker practically loses.
My favorite Buried Alive match was Mankind versus Undertaker.
Really?
Just because the two of them, of course, extending with Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
This Buried Alive match predating that, but they always had great chemistry.
Oh, always, yeah.
I was watching a few days ago on the WWE Network for $9.99, which actually more actually, additionally to that for a moment, stepping off of Best of Wrestling, they just announced you can get a 3-month subscription card, which I think is really going to help their sales, which they're selling at Walmart.
Honestly, I don't.
With no credit card required. I think that's definitely a cool step.
Yeah, it's kind of like Xbox.
In the progression.
Yeah, because honestly, no one's going to want to pay.
Well, it's what they do now.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, back in Best of Wrestling. I was watching their match at Survivor Series 96. It was Undertaker vs. Mankind with Paul Bearer held above the ring in like a shark cage kind of thing. And the two of them never had a bad match, in my opinion.
No.
For me, one of my favorite gimmick matches was probably Last Man Standing or the I Quit match.
Okay.
I love the I Quit match because you saw an evolution of it. Because at one point there's a legendary I Quit match, I think Terry Funk versus Ric Flair in WCW. Then you had the I Quit match violence level of Rock versus Mankind at Royal Rumble 98, I believe. Someone correct me if I'm wrong.
I think it's 99.
And then more recently, kind of the more hokey, like John Cena versus Batista was the Last Man Standing match. And then they also had one where he, I think, attitude adjustment through cars or something like that.
Yeah.
No, that was also Last Man Standing. Either way, the evolution of that was great. Yeah. So the fact that you've had different gimmick matches, I think they always lend something new to a feud.
Yeah.
What about you guys? Before I wrap up, what do you think?
Well, if you gotta talk about Last Man Standing matches, you have to bring not Last Man Standing. Sorry, Iron Man matches.
Which gets to tonight.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
Sasha versus Bayley.
You have to go back to Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart WrestleMania. Like, you have to go back to that.
That match made me a fan.
Same here.
That's the
like seeing Shawn Michaels descend from the Anaheim pond.
Yeah.
In 1996, that made me a fan.
Same here. I mean, it kind of like I was watching prior to that as a child, but. And I always say that WrestleMania 14 is the first WrestleMania I vividly remember as a kid watching.
In 98.
But Michaels versus Hart made me a huge Michaels fan. And just because of the storytelling and the, just the moveset. It wasn't, and Bret Hart went on interview saying that we planned for an hour's worth of moves. And we got done with all of them, and there's still 30 minutes left.
Yeah.
So just to think off the whim what you can do shows the amount of talent both of them had.
Hey, what about you? Is that your favorite Iron Man match?
Favorite Iron Man match, and also favorite WrestleMania match.
Fair enough. With all that being said, gentlemen, it's always a pleasure. Ehi, thank you so much for joining us this week. Definitely come back soon.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't be a stranger here on Top Rope Talk.
Oh, I won't. Definitely.
Awesome. So I'm Josh Richter. I'm joined by Moses Nunez. Ehi, thank you as well for coming as well today.
No problem.
We will absolutely see all of you next week here on Top Rope Talk. Be sure to check out all of our other content here on the YouTube page for Old Westbury Television. We'll see you next week.